Have you ever been trying to get something done and the harder you try to get it done, the less you get done? That's how it's been for the last couple days. Do you remember that cartoon in the newspapers, Family Circus? Yeah. All right, you remember the little boy? I can't remember his name, but it was always a Sunday cartoon. It was always in color. It would be like a map. His mom would say, "Can you take out the trash?" And there would be a map of everything he did before he took out the trash. That is so much like my life sometimes. I'm like, we are gonna go work on the garden and we're gonna get these things done. In the process of trying to get those specific things done, we do 50 other things in the process. So, here's what's gonna happen. I finally got the tractor going. We had an issue with an old battery. Yeah, it happens. So it's not gonna be anything fancy. It's just gonna be one pass to get in here, kind of break up any clots, spread out anything that needs to be spread out, and that's it. We're not doing a deep till. It's gonna be, we're gonna call it an inch or two. It's not really gonna be much of a till. It's gonna be more of a stir than it is gonna be a till. We did a pass across this. I tried to keep it as surface as I possibly could. Now I'm gonna go in with the landscaping rake. We're gonna rake this out. Now we're still gonna be walking on this. I'm just trying to get some of the overall dips and valleys and stuff just smoothed out. Just enough, because everything we do from here on out is gonna be based off of what's here. So if I got big dips and valleys, I'm gonna be trying to fill those in with compost and other stuff like that, which overall is not really what I want to be doing. I want to be just working on a good foundation. And then we're going to work on the next step, which is putting in our infrastructure for our tomatoes. I'll show you how I'm going to do that when we get to that step, because there may be a side quest in between that I don't know about. So let's see.
Is there any way I could help you race?
Huh?
Is there any way that I could help you race?
You can get a hoe if you want, and if you see the kale popping up, throw the kale out. You like to? It's not perfectly flat, I'll put it that way. It's good enough. How about that? It's good enough. And when I say it's good enough, it's flat enough that we don't have some big dips, we don't have a bunch of rollingness. There is some roll to it. There's a little dip over here I'll work on a little bit more. I can see that now. But overall, I think we're in a really good place. The next thing is to start getting our infrastructure in for our tomatoes. We got a line strung. This is not the line that's actually going to be used for our tomatoes. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting high tensile wire up high, okay? And that's going to go all the way down the whole entire greenhouse with posts in between. The posts we're going to be using are a heavy duty pipe. I think they're almost a 1/4 inch thick steel pipe. The reason why we're overbuilding this is because I never want to touch it again. I do that a lot. If I'm going to put a pipe in this greenhouse, I want to put it at an angle. But you can see it's going to end up hitting the roof, okay? Okay, it's going to hit the roof. And I can't get up there to drive this pipe into the ground if I wanted to, because of the fact that I can't get above it to drive it in. So here's how we're going to accomplish both getting it in the ground at an angle, and I wanted it at a pretty good angle. The reason why I wanted it at a pretty good angle is because I have vineyard anchors, okay? There are anchors that screw into the ground. They go in a couple feet and they screw right into the ground, and once they're in there, they are in there. And you really kind of want them at a bit of an angle. So I really don't want this at like a 45. I want this more at like a 20-degree angle. So to accomplish that, what we're going to do is we're going to use a bigger pipe that is shorter. And the bigger pipe that is shorter, we're going to be able to dig into the ground, anchor it and put it into the ground like 3 feet or so. And then the smaller pipe can be raised and lowered. So then we have the option of raising and lowering the height of our high tensile wire if we ever need to. But we'll also have the angle we want, so that way we can put an anchor inside the greenhouse and anchor this all the way down. Now some folks will actually hang them from the tops of their greenhouses. That's fine if you have a greenhouse that has a truss. Our greenhouse doesn't have a truss that goes across. And I'll show you why I'm not going to do that, because if I jump up and hang on this, you can see how much flex that has. I don't want to try to figure out the engineering on that and kind of gamble if it's going to work. So we're not even going to mess with it. We're going to hang everything from pipes inside of here with high tensile wire that we know is not going to break. We want our post to go right about here, okay, like this. So that way we have enough room to put an anchor down here. The anchor we really want to be almost perpendicular to this angle. So we need to kind of think about how that's going to look. And it doesn't have to be perpendicular at the top. It just needs to be maybe in the middle perpendicular, so you can start to really pull on that. This is about the angle we want. So let's see what this looks like if we go about perpendicular to it. That gets us pretty close to the beginning of the greenhouse. Decent. I'm happy with that angle. I'd be happy with that right there. I think that's a little too steep. Maybe we do want to go that extra 6 inches or so. Yeah, I like that. Okay. These are the anchors we're going to use, and they get screwed in the ground. You can see they go in about 2 feet, and that ends up being plenty for holding these in. It's what the vineyards use, and they seem to be really successful. So we got the first one in, and you're saying, but that is not as tall as you said it was going to be. Well, that's true. I need it to be supported at the bottom down here, okay? And that's been driven in the ground. This was about 6 feet tall. That's been driven in the ground at least 3 feet. Now, some of this has been dug out, and the reason for it to be dug out, so this can telescope up and down, and it can go deeper than the ground level. That's going to allow me to have trellises low if I ever want to have them lower, or have them higher if I ever want to have them higher. And even right here, if you see how tall that is, it's about 7 feet off the ground, okay? At 7 foot, I still have a foot of pipe inside this other pipe. I'm gonna have the boys fill this in, and they're gonna tamp it with this farm tool. Now, I call this a farm tool. Okay, this is literally an axe head welded into a steel pipe. Yeah. I have a few of these. This is Herman's, but I have one, and it's an axle shaft that I used. So let the boys get the dirt in, tamp it in real good, and I'm gonna go down there and we're gonna get the other post in. Whew. Okay. This is the post, and it is just barely short enough. There we go. So we got about the same height as we got on the other one, and now we can run this all the way up to about 7 foot or so if we wanted to. Well above where we'd want to. Plenty of height in here. Now we're going to do the other ones. The other ones, I think we're going to be using this size diameter pipe and a slightly smaller one on the inside. All right, so this pipe right here is what we used on the greenhouse up top. So I want to see if this diameter pipe will fit in this other diameter pipe I have. And if this will fit in, perfect. Okay, so this is perfect because this is a light enough weight pipe, but it's going to be sturdy enough to hold weight down, because all the force that's going to be applied on this pipe is just going to be vertical force. We can use this type of pipe, which is a heavy duty, like 1/8 like an 1/8 of an inch thick steel pipe, galvanized steel pipe. We have a bunch of this. We can use this, and we can use like 6 foot lengths or 5 foot lengths or whatever we have of the greenhouse pipe. By using the pipe inside the other pipe, it'll allow us to change the height if we ever want to, or if we want to lower things just for attachment. I don't know. I'm just trying to think out of the box and also make sure that we can actually like work in the future. Also, I want to be able to install these easily, and I don't want to have to remove the plastic to install them, or if I want to remove them, I don't want to have to remove the plastic. By doing something that telescopes, it makes it so that way we have flexibility in the future if we want to take these out. Thank you so much for joining us on A Simple Life, and we will see you in a few days.